accept everything.
Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of Web Boxing Podcast 101. I'm your host, like always, Luis Trevino, also known as Terry on the mic, coming to you by way of Warriors Edge Boxing Gym Promotions. Again, I want to thank everybody for listening, everybody out there for taking your time on this podcast number 7, as we do it every Thursday night. And I just want to thank everybody out there. We've had some great reviews from the general public, from other boxing gyms, as the existence and the future of this podcast. At the introduction, you saw the introduction to Mikey Garcia, Earl Spence fight, March 16th, huge fight. And I just want to make a correction real quick. On the last podcast, I say the show was going to be in the Star Center, but no, not in Frisco, Texas. It'll be at AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys in Arlington, Texas. Huge fight, March the 16th. I think it's one of the biggest fights out there right now. It's the must-see fight of, so far, the year. I'll talk to my guest about that as well. But that was the introduction. We'd like to thank everybody at Phantom Events. A big shout-out to Jake out in Colorado, as he provided that link for us for Phantom Events. From now on, Warriors Edge Boxing Podcast and Warriors Edge Boxing.com will be, again, promoting the big fight coming up March 16th. A big shout out to Phantom Events for allowing us that. And if you don't know what Phantom Events, they do huge events, but they also do showings in the theaters around the country. So look, man, if you have nothing to do March the 16th, you want to go out and have a good time, see the fights theater style, you go out there to Tinseltown, Cinemark out the theater, wherever they're going to have the fight. Go out there, guys, enjoy the fights, have a tub of popcorn. What better have some popcorn and, hey, guess what, a cold brew and watch the fights. March the 16th, thanks for Phantom Events for doing that. So that was my introduction, folks. We are getting ready for a huge show today. But before I get started, introduce to my co-host today, because like I said, we do have a big show. We're going to talk about the neutral corner out of USA Boxing, right? And right off the bag, off that newsletter, it's the Reno Western Elite Qualifier in Reno, Nevada, USA Boxing Trials Qualifying Event number 2, and that's going to be March 23rd through the 30th, 2009. Coaches pre-register and receive a gift on Sunday's check-in, and I know Warriors Edge Boxing will have one individual representing the gym, representing El Paso, all the way from El Paso. Warriors Edge Boxing and Andres Perez will be at that Reno Western Elite Qualifier. Huge show in Reno, Nevada. So guys, we're going to be looking out for that as well. So it's going to be a big show in Reno, Nevada for the national qualifier as well. Other shows coming up and other events announced June 22nd through the 29th. We have the National Junior Olympics in Madison, Wisconsin. The Junior Olympics over there are going to be fine. The Eastern qualifier and the Last Chance qualifier, again, that's going to be determined and announced. That they do have the December 8th to the 15th National Championship Olympic Trials in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Watch for the postings of additional events and dates and locations soon for what I just mentioned. Those are some huge upcoming events and all. So I just wanted to do some quick information out there for you guys. And there were 1,368 events sanctioned in 2018, with at least one event held in all 50 states. There were one event held in 50 states plus DC, guys. And it should be noted that California had 158 events, Texas had 137 events, and New York had 97 events. So we did have a lot of sanctions in 2018, guys. So keep up the good work. And I know in the last podcast or in the past, we've been talking about trying to get more events in El Paso, trying to get everybody out to the events. Why the reason why we didn't have events? Well, you know, I know we've had in my past podcasts, we've had people say, you know what, the venue, the money, we can't compete with bigger cities, but I know we're going to turn it around, and I know our LBC is going to turn it around, and we're going to have more events. But like I've always said before, it takes two to tango. and having that type of relationship between the LBC and the local gyms and the coaches goes a long way. So again, nevertheless, guys, keep contributing to the great cause of the LBC and the Golden Gloves. Well, like I said before, we have a big show, and we're gonna go ahead and introduce my first guest today. My first guest is an entrepreneur.
Thank you.
An El Pasoan here, right, by heart. But the interesting thing about Carlos Diaz is, let me tell you, man, it's so important to surround yourself with great people, man. Great, positive people, people that like to promote health.
Right.
And that's the big thing, to promote the health, to promote everything is so important because it goes along with fitness. So, Carlos Diaz, welcome on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
You got it, sir. And your business is called Healthy Start.
Right.
And the motto is live healthier and happier.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. It's meal preparation, right?
Correct.
Carlos?
Correct.
Carlos, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us how you got started in this, and tell us what Healthy Start is all about.
Well, my name to start is Carlos Diaz. Most of you might know me by Mariachi. That's my nickname since high school.
Wow, why Mariachi?
It's I was the only Mexican playing baseball for my team. That time it was Cathedral High School.
Wow, you went to Cathedral?
I went to Cathedral for 4 years, graduated in '93, and since I was the only Hispanic playing at that time baseball, so they called me Mariachi. Well, at least it's better than Tamal, because when my freshman year I was short and chubby. So when my uniform was a little bit tight, so they called me Tamal.
Oh, that's what they called
Yeah.
Oh,
So now they call me Mariachi.
Were you a good baseball player?
I was decent. I was okay.
You were okay.
I was okay.
What position did you play?
I played second, short, and right field.
Wow, so you were multitasking. You were
Right.
good at all that.
Exactly.
Right. So what do you do now?
Now I work at Dish, and I do the meal prep. I got started because I like working out, fitness, and I see sometimes that friends don't have time to cook, so I cook for them. So that way they have time for them to do what they need to do, and then I keep.
Well, Carlos, what got you started in this?
Actually, it was a friend that got me into started into this. I was working at the mall, and then he knows that I love to cook, and then.
So, are you a chef?
No, not a chef, but I watch shows and I like to cook.
So who taught you how to cook?
Some my wife, some my mom. Yeah, right? Exactly. She's the boss.
Oh, she is the boss.
Yeah, so my friend goes, since you like cooking, how come you don't start your own business? I was like, I never gave it a thought. So I talked to my wife, and she goes, you know what? My friend told me start cooking. So from there on, I started cooking 5 simple plates: tilapia, salmon, meat, chicken, something simple, and then started from there.
So let me ask you something. You started cooking, great. So if I want to say, I want a plate of tripitas, do you cook tripitas too?
No, I don't, man. I'm sorry. Well, I like tripitas, but I mean, if you want me to cook them, I'll cook them for you, and I do cook good tripitas. Yeah.
So I guess you're well-rounded
Right.
chef, right?
Correct.
Did you go to school for that?
No,
It was just
by training and heading out. by doing it.
Good. So it got you. So your wife got you started on this, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Carlos, tell us one thing. So tell us a little bit about your business.
Well, my business is Healthy Start for people that want to take care of their meals. We cook for them. We cater to your needs. So if you eat something specific, we'll make the meals at your way. We don't make them our way. We make them your way. So that way you eat what you like. You make your plate.
So I make my plate.
Correct.
Okay. So do you keep food in the refrigerator? Like, do you keep? I'm assuming you have pounds and pounds of like shrimp and meat and ready to go, or is it like on a day by day? If I say I want this type of plate, you got water and run and get it that night, or how does it work?
Okay, so the way we work, and it's been great for us so far, is that we take orders 2 days before you actually need the meals.
And let me stop you there.
Okay.
Again, you don't have to say all the secrets because I'm pretty sure you have competitors.
Well, I mean, the sun shines for everybody, so I mean.
Yeah, good.
I mean,
Try not to be greedy.
exactly. I mean, the sun's out for everybody. I mean, that's how we do it. And like I said, I mean, we cook them the day, like I say, place the order 2 days before. That way they're freshly made by the time you want them. So that way they don't have that refrigerator taste.
Gotcha.
That way they're...
So it's pretty fresh.
Yeah, exactly. They're pretty fresh.
Good. So tell us, how much is the plates, or how do you have discounts? Do you...
Well, the plates, all the plates, we only have one price for all the plates, which is $8.50. But of course, if you order in bulk, like 10 meals, 15 meals, of course, we're going to give you a discount. We have law enforcement discounts. I mean, we work with everybody.
And you know what? I think that's the in thing right now. Those meal preps. I know a lot of people that do meal preps, and you know they get it for the whole week. People that can't cook, especially the single people, right?
Correct.
The meal prep, and it's a healthier choice, right? That we live in an era now that everything's healthier. It's about health now.
Right. Correct.
Growing up, it wasn't as prominent as now, right?
Correct.
Growing up, I mean, like I know we couldn't afford like the fancy bread. It was like the 99 cents Wonder Bread. And that was it,
yeah.
Right? Now there's so much selection out there, but again, living healthy is expensive, right?
It is.
So how do you cater to everybody?
Well, I mean, like I said, we understand. Like I said, if you order like in bulk, we work with you because we know it's a little bit expensive. But like I said, I mean, we can give you discounts. I mean, we'll work for you. I mean, we cater to you, and then at the same time, we work for you.
Good. So you work for us, and you work with the price.
Exactly.
Right? You work for us all the way around.
Correct.
Well, that's good, Carlos. How long you been in existence?
Right now, we've been going on 3 years.
3 years, right?
3 years. Slowly but slowly, we're going there. We're getting there.
You're getting there, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Good. So you have, so it's we're a boxing gym, right? And we cater to a lot of athletes.
Correct.
As far as the training. What is the perfect meal for an athlete that you might cook for them?
Well, it all depends. Like I have customers that do workout. They work out 5, 6, 7 days a week, and they want to bulk up. They usually do more protein-based meals, and they usually do between 10 or 15 meals a week. So they eat three times a day, and they wanted more what's called protein-based, so they can get bigger. If they want to get leaner, then like I said, we cater to their needs, so that we know how to.
So what's a protein-based meal?
It's protein-based is it's high on protein, which is either meat, tilapia, salmon, chicken. I mean, more protein and less carbs.
So Carlos, pretty much you can cook anything.
Correct.
Anything.
Uh-huh.
So Carlos, tell us one thing. I mean, we're catering to boxing and athletes here, right?
Right.
To the officials and everybody that's in the health industry, right?
Correct.
Tell us what can a fighter eat while preparing for a fight, whether it's amateur or pro?
Well, it all depends on the diet that they have.
Whether they want to cut weight or lose weight.
If they want to cut weight, then we do less protein, so that way they don't get bigger. Less carbs. I mean, we cater to all their needs. If you have a diet specific, we make the meals to that diet that you need.
Wow, that is pretty awesome. So you're just a phone call away.
A phone call away, correct.
So, do you have like a shop, or do you make it out of your kitchen?
We rent a kitchen right now where we make the meals, and the good thing about it is, guys, we deliver. We deliver the meals to your work, your house. Wherever you need the meals, we'll go and deliver the meals for you.
So you deliver
exactly,
the meals.
We deliver
wow,
the meals.
That is all, and it's free delivery?
Yeah, it's free delivery.
Pretty much everywhere in the radius of El Paso?
Correct.
Or west side, east side?
East side, west side.
Pretty much everywhere, right?
Everywhere.
Wow, that is so cool. Are you like the first in El Paso that delivers the meal preps?
I think we are. I think we are the first ones, because most of them you have to go and pick them up there because they don't have the delivery. So we are the first ones to deliver.
So who delivers, you or the wife?
Between me and the wife.
Good, man, good. And do you deliver in Juarez, Mexico, or you don't go out there?
We don't go to Juarez yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
Probably soon.
Okay, so where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook at Elda Healthy Start. Instagram, we're there. I mean, you can find us pretty much anywhere.
Anywhere? And you have a Facebook?
I have a Facebook, which is Elda Healthy Start.
Okay, and I'm assuming there's pictures of the meat.
Correct.
Seen it?
Correct. Yeah, there's a bunch of pictures. We have between 25 to 30 plates around there. And like I said, I mean, we cater to your needs. You make the meal the way you want it. You you tell me, Carlos, I want chicken with broccoli, with white rice, steamed rice. I mean,
Wow, so 25, you have at least 25
correct.
plates, 30 different
And those
combinations.
20, 25, 30 is from customers that actually create their own meals. So we post the pictures of the meals that they order.
So it's pretty much whatever the customer wants.
Correct.
This is what I want today. This is what I'm going to
Exactly.
get. And then you prepare for
Correct.
them, right? So, Carlos, that was another thing. I'm gonna give you another question. How does it work? Okay, so do I gotta order 3 meals a day?
No.
So how does it work?
It works. Like I said, like I have clients that are bodybuilders, so they usually eat 3 days. I mean, my meals they eat 3 days. Of course, they have their shakes, their other.
You have other supplements.
Exactly, other
right?
supplements that they eat. Correct. So they usually do 15 meals a week. So they actually do three meals per day. I have customers that do 1 meal a day. So I have customers that are nurses. They don't have time to cook, so we cook for you. So that way you don't have to worry about going to Walmart, buying your groceries, cut the ingredients, and then cook them. We cut and cook for you.
Wow, that is so cool, man, because you cook for the person.
Correct.
And then you deliver.
Correct.
That is pretty good. And you offer also discounts, military
Yes.
discounts, law enforcement
Everything.
discounts.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And then of course now we're gonna be expanding and we're gonna be targeting the gyms, right?
Correct.
Good.
Correct.
And I hope from this podcast, Carlos, we can reach out to the other side of the person.
Correct.
We can reach out.
Exactly.
I mean, look, man, it doesn't hurt reaching out to every
Exactly. It doesn't
or
hurt.
every type of industry, right?
Correct.
You mentioned nurses, law enforcement, doctors, whatever.
Correct.
And now we're going into the gyms. And yeah, you know what? I see the kids trying to cut weight.
Right.
And some of the kids come in here and they don't eat. And it's tough on their body, right?
Correct.
And they probably get out of here and then they probably don't eat a healthy meal.
Correct.
I don't know if you know, Carlos, but these kids. They go through a lot trying to cut weight.
Correct.
And I know my coach probably can agree. They go through a lot of sacrifices when they try to make a fight.
Correct.
Losing 1 pound, losing 2 pounds, and I know that sandwich in the corner of the street is not going to help.
The hamburger?
Yeah, that hamburger, that delicious Baconator, is not going to help the fighter, right? I mean,
Right.
So it takes a lot, and there's a lot of sacrifice. So I'm so glad we found you, Carlos, and I'm so glad you're out here trying to promote your business.
And thanks for having me, man.
Hey, local business is number one.
All right,
I know
correct.
me and you talked about it
Yeah,
yesterday.
we were talking about
We want to spend
Support
our money
local.
here and support local businesses.
Correct.
Here. So it's so great what you're doing, I think, because it also offers a healthy avenue for these athletes.
Correct.
And the ages are from
It doesn't matter. I mean, doesn't matter
right?
the
It's just
edges. We cater to your needs.
just a healthy lifestyle.
Correct.
I'm pretty sure saying this is what you do too at home, right? All
Correct.
your family eats healthy.
Yes.
And your kid is in boxing now.
Correct,
so
he's in
probably
boxing
gonna
now.
be- and I think it takes a lot of discipline to eat healthy, right?
It does, because it's easy just to go outside and each corner there's fast food, so it's easy just to, say no to fast food.
Yeah, those corners are
Yeah.
corners are called cholesterol corners.
Cholesterol corners, that's correct.
Right? That's what they're called here in El Paso, man, right?
Yeah.
That's where everybody gravitates to. It's like a bug facing the light.
Exactly.
And
See, I mean,
they get
it's
hypnotized.
like you're saying, it's hard for them, but I mean, at the same time, you just get our meals, pop it in the microwave, minute and a half, 2 minutes, boom, your food's ready.
Wow, and I guess one of the good things that it's fresh.
Correct. It's
Right?
freshly
It's
made.
fresh
Correct.
meals and all that.
Correct.
Carlos, tell us again one more time, where can we find you? Where can people call you? Your email, your phone number. Tell us how we can get a hold of you if we want a meal. If we want to try it out. Go ahead and tell us.
Okay, you can call me at area code 915-245-5949. As for Carlos Mariachi, or you can call me at 915-204-7376. Just ask for Elda, that's my wife, the boss. And like I said, you can find us in Facebook at Elda, My Healthy Start, The Healthy Start, and on Instagram, we're there.
Good, man. So there you have it, folks. Carlos, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me, man.
You got it, man. Anytime. And folks, there you have Carlos Diaz, the owner of Healthy Start. Oh, wait a minute. The
Cool.
Vice
Price, yeah,
of
exactly.
Healthy Start. Elda Diaz is your wife.
Correct.
She's the owner. So thanks for having both of you guys here on the show. Healthy Start, live healthier, happier. These are meal preparations. Again, the number is 915-245-5949 for all your healthy needs, your supplemental foods as well. And you name it, it's fresh and it's locally owned. So, Carlos, thank you again.
No, thank you for having me. Thanks
for being on this podcast.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I got a question for you
Yes.
before I let you go.
All right.
Earl Spence versus Mikey Garcia. Who do you like?
Mikey Garcia.
Why?
Boxing style, man. I think he has a good...
Or is it because he's Mexican?
Yeah.
What?
I mean...
He has a good boxing style. What do you like about Mikey Garcia?
The hook that he has. He has
And you know what? There's been talk that, Mikey Garcia is a little bit smaller. So what do you think of that? You think Earl Spence is a little bit bigger and you still think...
Well, see, the thing is, if he fights inside, there's no way they can hit him. So he can go inside and he can do some damage on the inside.
Wow, so it's all the way Mikey Garcia. You're being loyal to...
Of course.
To the, and you know what? All the Mexican fighters are hardcore Mexican fighters.
They are, man.
Front, right?
Yeah.
They've always had that... everybody's talked about those fighters being moving forward, right?
Correct.
Right, another fight I'm going to tell you about. What about Jacobs Canelo?
Who? 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 Canelo? Who?
Canelo.
Yeah.
You like Canelo, right?
I like Canelo, yeah.
You think he beat Triple G the first time?
To be honest, no.
Oh, you don't think he beat him?
No. I think one of the judges
Or
was
it was a draw,
one of the judges was looking at some other fight that gave him 10 points.
Yeah, it was like a 117, 114.
Yeah, something like that. So no, I guess.
What about the second fight? What did you think of that fight?
Oh, the second fight I thought Triple G won, but I guess.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Canelo beat him in the second fight. That was a good fight, man. Canelo stood toe to toe.
He did. But I mean, I thought what I saw. I mean, I would give it to Triple G because I thought he gave more punches, probably.
Wow, good.
Yeah.
And you know what? Now Canelo's gonna be facing Daniel Jacobs. Daniel Jacobs, obviously a taller fighter.
Correct.
And did you see the Jacobs Triple G fight?
No, I didn't see it.
No, I thought Jacobs won.
They were. I heard about it. Yeah, that's right.
On YouTube and watch it. It was a very good fight. And I think he's going to give Canelo trouble. But, I mean, again, that's going to be a very interesting fight. There's another huge fight coming up on TV. Right?
Correct, yeah.
Right? So, Carlos, thanks for your
thanks for having me, man.
It's always a pleasure
Thank
to have
you.
here on my gym and your family as well.
Thanks.
Folks, before we get to our co-host of the night, one of our sponsors for this segment is going to be Premier Uniforms, right? Located on 4121 Montana intersection with US 54 El Paso, Texas. Go see Mr. Hector Ayala. Invites you to visit him and the friendliest staff in town at Premier Uniforms and Tactical Gear, specializing in custom uniforms, apparel, and gear. Boots for all agencies, including police, fire, sheriff. We have something for everything. It's a massive store, now offering in-house embroidery, screen printing, tailoring, sports uniforms, school logos to help promote your business or organization there, Carlos, right?
Yes.
Take advantage of the tremendous sale going on right now with 50% off entire store and 20 to 25% of all stock jackets. Right now it's time to go get jackets, right? Because we're going to the summer and the jackets will be a little bit cheaper. Don't miss out. Call for details and orders, guys, 771-6601. Go see Hector and his staff. Premier Uniforms, Tactical Gear is being a big sponsor for this segment of the show as well. So there you have it. Go see Hector. And now, folks, like I said, our co-host of the evening. And you know what? I'm excited to have somebody. Like I said, I'm gonna have a lot of people on the show, and that's what I want. I want people that know boxing, that can teach us a few things. And hey, look, man, I have questions for them, right? This person was born in Salinas, California, right? He's been a member of the USA Boxing World for 30 years. You look very young. He's licensed as a pro ref since 2007 in Texas, professional ref. And you've probably seen him on ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN Deportes, Showtime, Time Warner. You've seen him on TV. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for our friend here at Warrior's Edge, Mr. Ladies and gentlemen, the third man in charge of the action, Mr. Robert Velez.
Web Boxing Podcast 101. Here I am. How do you like me now?
Robert, thanks for coming out here with us, man. That is so cool, man.
And you know what? I've announced some of the fights, and it's been a pleasure to do that as a ring announcer.
I was up there your very first time at the Don Haskins Center.
And you know that was my wife's birthday.
Was it?
Yeah,
What a
she was
present.
cool, man. No, she was cool. She goes, go ahead. And you know what? The
He
funny
said, Mika, this one's for you.
well, wait a minute. It was her birthday, and I go, look, it was a last-minute thing from Separate Entertainment. It was at the Don Haskins Center. They said, hey, look, we'll do a ring announcer. You want to do the fights? You got it, man. Remember that one?
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to get the front row seats, man. They put my wife in the Bob Uecker seats. So she was, I'm like, man, I got this our first fight.
Well, in case you mess up, she's in the perfect spot to be.
Yeah,
Close to the exit.
you know what? Hey, man, let me tell you, I was very nervous. I know I announced Hector Camacho Jr. fight. I announced that one against Juan Estorga from Chihuahua, I believe. It was a good fight. I remember seeing you there, Robert. I'm nervous. Remember that?
Yeah.
My heart was about to come out of my shirt. There was 3,000 plus people. It was a big time for me, big show. It was a good learning curve for me as being the ring announcer. But again, like I said, I like saying that the third man in charge of the action of the bell sounds Mr. Robert Velez. Right? That was awesome for me. And it was recorded. It was on TV too. The main event was David Rodriguez, remember? And you know what funny story about that? That the main event was not called by me. It was not Lupe Contreras. It was Buzz Adams.
Was it?
Yeah, and Buzz Adams was there. He was going to, because Buzz Adams is a good friend of David Rodriguez. They went to the same high school or something like that. But I was coaching Buzz Adams, the legendary Buzz Adams, talking about ring announcing, and he was cool, and he seemed kind of nervous, but he did a great job, man.
But it also shows that you know what it's like to transition from, say, the amateur boxing to the pro boxing.
Yeah.
It's almost very similar. I mean, I had the same experience when I transitioned into the professional arena.
But you know what? Sometimes you get starstruck in the pro area, because when I was up there and Hector Camacho walks up on the ring, I was like, what? I mean, this guy is the son of the legendary Hector Camacho Sr., right? And I believe, Robert, that you got in starstruck. You know, we did a fight in Monterrey. And I was in the dressing room of Adrian Estrella, and here comes Jorge Arce walking in. And I'm like, what? And I'm the enemy, right? I can't ask for autographs. So you get starstruck. But going back to the amateur and pro, yeah, it's pretty much the same, but just people in the pro are a little bit more rowdy because they're drinking cerveza.
That's right.
Right.
And then there's cameras, there's lights.
There's cameras, and it was televised. So that was
ring girls, there's all kinds of distractions.
Right. So yeah, there was all kinds of distractions, lights and cameras and a lot of people. So yeah, it was a learning experience. But I thank you, Robert, for being there for me and helping me out. Because I remember talking to you. You know what, Robert? I am crazy nervous, right?
Yeah, and I said, hey, Tree, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Just focus on what you know, and you'll be fine.
I guess I was a little bit more scared of the boss.
Up in the nosebleeds.
Yeah, Bob Uecker seats. Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, those beer cans hurt when they landed in the rain.
Or tomato smear, right? Yeah, nevertheless, Robert, tell us about yourself growing up in El Paso.
Well, I actually grew up in Salinas, California.
Okay.
Got into some trouble there, gang-related. Was transplanted from Salinas, ended up in Chamberino, New Mexico.
Wow, Chamberino, New Mexico.
Yeah, nothing out there. Just ranch and chickens and cows and... so for California,
Were you a farmer?
I wasn't. My grandfather had a large ranch. And so, in order to sustain and put food on the table, go outside and get some eggs from the chicken coop.
And so you actually, you grew your meals right outside the backyard, right?
That's right. We had to work for it.
Yep. Now kids don't do that.
No, we don't. No. The work that they do is probably get off the sofa and, go to the fridge. And
Right.
Not that
play
I'm
video games, right?
I love my children, just for the record.
Yeah, we love our children. So you were in Chamberino, New Mexico, and?
And so, I did well there. Gadsden High School. I appreciate Gadsden High School. I was able to catch up on some credits and then eventually ended up in El Paso. And so when I was in El Paso, I kind of was growing up, and it was the golden age of boxing. It was Julio Cesar Chavez, where every Chavez fight was like the Super Bowl Sunday.
It was.
Wasn't it great?
It was awesome, and I remember they had a closed circuit TV at the Civic Center.
I got a chance to meet Julio Cesar Chavez. I got a chance to meet Julio Cesar Chavez, and oh man, I'm talking about starstruck. Yeah.
Where was this at, Carlos?
The fight was November 27 when his son fought in Juarez.
Oh, okay.
I think he fought Mosley's kid.
I was there. They
were
had
there?
a huge banda.
Yes.
Banda, like 30,
it
40
Mosley's
member banda.
I don't. Was it Mosley's kid?
It was Omar. I think it was Omar the businessman.
Omar's the one that fought.
Omar. No. Julio Cesar
It
Junior
was
fought.
Chavez Jr.?
Yeah.
Was it Omar?
It had to be one of the two.
Yeah,
You met him.
I met him.
remember
I mean,
the banda.
we were at the in Juarez, and the lady I was working for, they know each other. Oh, the lady I was working for before, they know each other. So she introduced me to Julio Cesar Chavez, and I mean, his hands, I mean, are like brick walls. They were like, I mean, heavy.
Huge hands, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So, man, great. So then it was the era, Robert, of Julio Cesar Chavez. Like you said, it was a Super Bowl Sunday. I remember those big fights, man. It was, I mean, everybody got together, and it was a boxing atmosphere.
That's right.
That, you know what? That's how I grew up, and I miss that atmosphere.
And so, like everybody else, that's how I started. I started as a fan.
As a fan, and you just watch those fights.
And I started going to all the fights. And as a matter of fact, I started going to fights at the surf club where Herman Delgado.
Fought at the surf club.
Yeah, he used to fight at the surf club, and so did Sergio Vela and Bobby Cobos and all those guys, those local boxers. And so I was hanging out there at the surf club watching the fights, and so I ended up meeting a guy named Manny Anchondo, who was an old-time boxer from back in the day here, and they used to call him Dumbo. And he used to coach kids, and he wanted to restart the boxing program at the Armijo Recreation Center. And so I asked him, hey, do you need anybody to help you out? And he was like, sure. And so, he showed up a couple times at the gym and then disappeared. And so there I was with a bunch of kids not knowing what I was doing. And along comes a guy named Willie Rivera. And he brought along a guy from Juarez, Tony Martinez, who was a guru of boxing. And so he's the one that kind of taught me the basics of coaching, of working with fighters and stuff. And so I started.
So you started off as a coach,
and then I started as an assistant coach.
Okay, and you're an assistant coach.
And so we did that for a few years.
So here in El Paso.
Here in El Paso, at the Armijo Recreation Center.
Man, that place has been iconic to a lot of fighters and amateur fighters and pro fighters.
Yeah.
So many people like yourself have been through that gym. I went there a couple of times. So Robert, you never fought amateur?
I did, and as a matter of fact, we were working corners. We had boxers like Adrian Christopher Ortiz. We had who else did we have? We had Rene Armijo, who trained there and stuff, and we also had a couple of journey guys. And one of the guys that I liked working with, his name was Jose Cataneo, and he's a journeyman, and he fought anybody and everybody. And so we'd be working corners, and one time we went to Houston. And as a matter of fact, Herman Delgado was on that fight card along with some guy named Cowboy, and they're both from El Paso. We were all from El Paso, and after the fights, Cataneo had told me, you know what, man, I work really well with you. I feel like I'm at my best when we train together, but I always felt like, there was something missing because I knew that you had never fought. And that stuck with me. And so when we came back home, I told the trainers, hey, you know what? I want to know what it feels like to train and to get up there in the ring and box. And so I had a handful of amateur bouts, and so it was really important for me because I was able to see exactly what kind
the
of
fighter's going through.
That's right, and
Good.
I think it's important for a coach to know.
Coach or especially a ref.
Especially a ref,
because
yeah.
you know what the fighter's going through.
That's right.
Right. I mean, I know in my last podcast I've said not necessarily does a coach has always been a fighter, but yeah, you're right. I agree 100% that you've been in that platform. And now you see both sides of the spectrum, correct?
Yeah, that's right. And it was a good segue for me to get into officiating.
Okay, so then you get into officiating.
And that was back in the day when Jake Martinez and
the late Jake Martinez.
That's
rest
right.
in peace.
And Jerry Wright and
Jerry Wright.
Mark Ortega was the one in charge of, I think, teaching and grooming the officials. And back then it was pretty tough. Not everyone could be a referee. Not everyone could be a judge, I mean, they really had a tight control over the officials. And so, Jerry asked me, hey, are you interested in judging fights? And I said, sure. So he sat me in front of the timekeeper for a year. I was sitting in front of the bell.
Was that Junior?
No, that was Jerry Wright.
Oh, you were with Jerry Wright.
That's right. So he had me sitting there just ringing the bell for a whole year, you know, and I was like, well, I thought I was going to be judging, you know. And so then he says, you know, I think you'd be a good referee. How would you like to ref? And I said, I'd love to ref. He goes, all right. So he sat me at the judges table for a couple more years before he even stuck me up there. And so, you know, it impressed on me how important it is to be a referee. Not everyone can be a referee. And so, you know, it was very important to them that they groomed me well, and that not only that, but that I appreciate getting up there, that I had to earn my stripes to get up there. And so, you know, I was very
There's a saying, crawl before you walk, right?
Of course, yeah. And I think that applies to every aspect of boxing.
Wow, that's so interesting, man. You had a handful of amateur fights, then you know you earn your stripes, like they say. Then you get up on the ring, and then you referee a fight. Are you involved right now with boxing as far as the local boxing commission?
Yes, I am. Since I first became a member of USA Boxing, I have remained consistently every year a member of USA Boxing. And
does a referee got to remain consistent to keep up his license?
In the pros, yes. In the amateurs, not really. You can take a break here or there and come back, but you know you still have to pass the background checks and go through the clinics, and you know.
Do they require an amateur ref to have certain amount of fights to keep you up to par, or you can just do one fight a year and you'll be fine?
Well, I don't think you have to participate. As a matter of fact, there's something in the rule book that says that you have to consistently participate in your LBC. You know, there's a lot of officials who will go to nationals and just do nationals, or do regionals, and that's all they do. But they've implemented something now where they want you to become more involved in your local boxing community.
That's so great, man. Yeah. I mean, that because you, and again, it's all volunteer in the amateur world, right?
It is.
That's awesome, man, because you're going to give back to your community, and I think it's an honor to have a ref like you that is pro. We'll talk about it in a little while. In our local boxing commission, because it brings a quality, you know, it's quality, it's professionalism.
You can't hide it. The proof is in the pudding. What you see, you know, everyone can see you up in the ring, and so.
Yeah. I mean, and I've seen you, and you're very professional, very consistent, very thorough, and very fair.
Thank you.
And that is awesome, man. And you know what? Like I said, man, it takes a lot of guts to go up there, man. You know, and because everybody's looking at you, and you know what? There's one thing for sure about being a ref, that. For sure, people are going to like you, but for sure, the other side is not going to like you.
Well, I try to be fair to both sides. I give both sides the opportunity to do their thing.
Good. So you've been involved, and you continue to be involved in the amateur world. I saw you at Golden Gloves. So what got you into refereeing?
Oh, I'd have to say it was Jerry Wright, Rocky Burke, Mark Ortega, a lot of the local guys that were doing it here.
Okay, you mentioned Rocky Burke. Rocky Burke is the international Rocky Burke, professional ref.
Shout out to you, Rocky. I love you, Rocky. I love you. You're my brother.
And you know what? Good friend of Warrior's Edge, right? Rocky Burke's a good friend. I've seen him everywhere. I've seen him everywhere, man. I mean, Showtime, HBO, ESPN. He was our ref in Monterrey with the Chop Chop versus Estrella fight.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk to the guy, man. You know that I said hi to him and he dissed me.
To Chop Chop or to
Rocky Burke? No, I was Chop Chop's cut man.
Well, he probably couldn't hear you above all the other people saying hi and throwing their whatever at him.
No, he just couldn't talk to me because he was going to ref our fight.
Oh, okay.
See, I don't know the rules. I'm learning this, you know. So I was like, okay. Then later on, he goes, hey, look, Tree, no offense. We drove back. We had the same flight from Monterrey to Juarez, and then we drove across the way we talked. Great guy. Awesome. Great ref, and I hope to have him on my show pretty soon.
And I'm very lucky to have him as a mentor. And,
wow.
And, you know, we work together a lot, and since I'm licensed in New Mexico, we work together often.
He's from Albuquerque or Las Cruces?
He's from Las Cruces.
Well, a shout out to Rocky Burke and the Burke family.
That's right, Louis.
His brother Louis Burke is the trainer of Austin Trout.
Yeah.
And Jennifer Hahn. So a shout out, and big shout out to his brother Louis Burke, because he is a fireman. And again, guys, I want to give a shout out to all my first responders and law enforcement. So a shout out to the Burkes, and that was good. So tell us now about your pro career, Robert, your travels, your fights, and the most notable match under your belt.
Well, I think geographically I'm in a tough spot because each state has their referees. And so since I live in El Paso, I'm kind of limited to just
You're
whatever
way
happens.
out here.
That's right. And so, you know, a lot of people say, when are you going to do the one in Vegas? Well, I'd have to move to Nevada, or I'd have to move to California where all the action is, you know, and so.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So we've had fights here. So
Yes.
does the promoter pick the ref?
The promoter does not pick the ref.
Who picks
No.
the ref?
Yeah, well, if it's a championship fight, it's usually the sanctioning body. So whether it's the IBF, the
Gotcha.
WBC, they're the ones that make a recommendation. But in the end, it's the state commission that makes the call.
Well, the state commission, hey, I'm going to get him, I'm going to get... Okay,
That's right.
Good. So tell us about other fights, your travels, your pro fights, and...
Well, let's see. Like, my first big time fight was with Danny Swift Garcia versus Ashley Theophane, and that was a Friday night fight on ESPN.
Danny Garcia.
Yeah, that was
He's getting ready for another fight coming up.
Yeah,
Wow.
had him. The one fight that really stands out to me, and the one I always think about, is the Roland Bryant versus Librado Andrade fight, and that was on the undercard of the Abner Mares Eric Morel fight that we had here in El Paso. And I don't know if you remember, but Librado Andrade had 2 monster fights with Lucien Boutet.
Yep. The great Lucien Boutet.
Yeah, and in 2008, I believe they fought, and it was like fight of the year and everything. And so, you know, it was in 2012 when I refereed Librado Andrade versus Roland Bryant. And there was one point in the fight, and I'm in the ring, and I'm watching these two guys. It was kind of a scrappy fight. And so in the 3rd round, you know, it starts getting a little heated. 4th round, Roland Bryant hits him with an uppercut, hits Librado with an uppercut. Librado buckles. I'm watching closely. Librado's not reacting, you know, he's kind of, you know, he looks hurt.
Okay.
Okay, so he's taking some more punishment. He ends up on the rope, and I start counting the number of unanswered punches. And I get to about 7 or 8, and he totally buckles. His eyes roll back, and I'm like, okay, I got to do something. I got to step in. And so 1 or 2 more punches, and I step in. And I called off the fight.
What round was this?
This was 4th round, I believe. So anyways, the fight finishes, you know, he's complaining. He's like, what happened? Why are you stopping it? And I was like, you're taking way too much punishment. I have to stop the fight. So anyways, I'm sitting down, and all of a sudden we have to wait for the doctor, because apparently he had called the doctor into the dressing room. I started getting worried, and I was thinking, well, did I let it go on too long? And, you know, and so I'm driving home, and my brother from California calls, and he says, hey, man, they were ranking on you. You stopped that fight way too early. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was in the ring, man. That guy was taking a punishment. I had to stop it. He's like, well, they put you down, man. And anyways.
So it's tough, the criticism.
It's
huh? You
tough.
got to take some licking sometimes.
But
man.
here's what's scary. You know, I thought I redeemed myself by him calling the doctor over and examining because he wasn't feeling well. But I look back, I'm not the same referee I was back then.
Of course, you learn as you go.
I learn as I go, and that was in 2012. And I don't think I would have stopped that fight. I would have let it go on a little longer. But who's to say that, you know, Librado wouldn't be with us anymore if I would have let it go a little longer?
So, man, you know, as a ref, you carry so much responsibility, man. You just said it, man. 1 second short, you don't stop it.
That's right.
He can be in a coma. We've had him, you know, or 1 second shy, or you do stop it, then he gets too early.
Yeah.
It's again, it's human error, right? I mean,
it's a fine balance, yeah.
Yeah, man, it's like so. With that said, and I don't want to get off of your. I know you're going to tell us more about your travels and all that, but do you think that it'll be wise to have the refs carry body cams so people can actually see afterwards? If that was an actual headbutt, if that was a punch, or...
I think there was one promotion that was actually doing something like that with the glasses.
Exactly.
And then, you know, I mean, but it seemed too distracting.
But I think that was only for show. For
I think so too, because when did you ever see any replays from the referee?
Never.
You know? And then I remember talking to another fellow referee from California who said, hey, well, if I'm going to be carrying a camera, I'm not part of the Motion Picture Association, so I want to get paid just like the cameraman.
Gotcha, yes.
So there's different issues.
There's different issues, right? So what else about your travels or anything else?
Well, you know what? I like traveling to the conventions, to the IBF, the WBC, the NABF conventions. those are so critical, I think, for professional referees to go to.
Why?
Because they have clinics. All the referees, all the professional referees from the nation get together, and all over the world, if it's a world, say the WBC, they get together in one classroom and they talk about referee stuff. We learn about, everything that goes on. And sometimes we'll be lucky and have a referee that had a controversial fight who will talk to us and let us know, what was going on in their mind through a fight, and so you never walk away without learning something at one of these conventions. And we're contract employees, we don't work for the state of Texas. We have to work on our craft through our own expense and be the professionals that we are and be responsible for learning our craft.
Wow, and these conventions as a training grounds too, and you learn.
Exactly.
And then of course you meet other people. Like any convention.
Any convention.
You meet other people that are in your same type of world or something, and you get ideas.
And you meet all the good guys. You meet them all. You meet Jack Reese. You meet Jay
So who's your
Nady.
favorite referee?
Oh man, I don't have one favorite.
I got one favorite referee.
Or who is he?
Well, I got two favorite referees.
Let's see if
Robert
he's on my
Velez
list.
and Rocky Burke.
Oh man, I love you, Tree. I love you.
Yeah, those are my favorite refs, man.
I love Benji Estevez. He was the one that refereed the last Triple G Canelo fight, and he's from New Jersey. And this guy is so selfless. You can go to the conventions. He's approachable. You can talk to him. He'll give you advice and just talk to you until you don't want to hear about refereeing anymore. And so, a shout out to Benji.
Benji Estevez, right? Where is he from?
He's from New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey, you just said. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wow, and you have other?
Yeah. Oh, I got a whole list here.
Tell me about it.
Michael Griffin from Canada.
Michael Griffin.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. He's no nonsense. He lets them work. And I know he had a scare just recently, and he's working through it with Superman Adonis.
Adonis Stevens is got very sick.
Yeah.
And he was in a coma.
Yeah.
And you know what? From our website, we send shout outs to him and prayers to him. Yeah. I think he's recovering.
He's recovering, and
And you know what? Again, that fight. I saw the fight. It didn't seem like a whole lot of nothing. He really didn't get knocked out like knocked out.
That's right. No, and what's scary is we don't know what comes up to us in the ring, and that's where the coaches and the trainers are the first line of defense, I think, for boxers. They're the ones that spend every day with these boxers. They're in the gyms. They know what they're going through. They see them spar. They're with them all the time. So if they see something different, they're the first line of defense. But if it's a big time fight like that, they're not going to risk not fighting. I mean, they're going to show up.
Of course, yeah. So who else is on your list there?
Oh, I got Tom Taylor from California. I think he's pretty smooth.
Very decent.
Jack Reese is the one.
Jack Reese.
Right now, he's the one giving all the clinics. You go to one of these classes, and he's going to be up there. And what I like about him is he's more about getting together and just shooting the bull, and just saying, hey, man, I had the situation this last fight. What would you have done, and he's very selfless also.
Have you heard of Smolder?
Yeah.
I think he's one of my favorite refs, too.
Really? Well, I learned something very important from him. And this was at Fort Bliss. We had some fights on Memorial Day, and they were put on by Golden Boy. And let me see. Anyways, he was the referee, and I was so looking forward to hearing his. Yeah. Carl Smoger? Smoger.
Yeah, that's it.
Steve Smoger. And so, anyways, he, I think it was somebody from the WC picked him up from the airport and took him to some bullfights in Juarez the night before.
Really?
And so then, he shows up, and I was like, Steve Smoger, it's an honor to be working with you. And he's all like, what? I just came back from the bullfights, man. That was great. That was crazy. And, and I'm sitting here thinking we're going to be talking boxing, getting ready. But he was just so great. He made me feel at ease. And it was a televised bout. It was for the soldiers. It was just a wonderful night. But what he taught me that night was to let the boxers work. No one's paying to see the referee. It's the old adage, be seen but not noticed, and that was the important thing he taught me that night. Which
Smoger's been part of a lot of championship fights.
He's a legend.
A lot of crucial, a lot of controversial fights.
Yeah,
big time. He's been part of that. Another ref that stands out that's been part of a lot of controversial calls and big fights is Kenny Velez.
Kenny Velez, yeah.
And the ever so loving their master of disaster, Mr. Robert Byrd.
Rob, I love his style. I
Awesome,
love
man.
watching him
Awesome.
walk in the ring. He's
Awesome.
just so smooth in there.
Awesome. And the great refs. And I really believe that the refs make the fights too. Right? Sometimes we're sitting watching a fight and he doesn't let them fight, or they don't do enough, or they do too much. Sometimes you see fighters hugging, and we're like, well, step in. Refs step in and have them stop hugging. Or there's refs that don't even let you fight. You know, so again, we're quarterbacking this, but really it's so important to have you here today, and because we're seeing an insight of what it takes to be a pro ref.
Well,
right?
I'm glad you're letting me know, because I'm taking this in, and I'm taking notes, and so I'll do my best to break them up.
That's awesome. I mean, like I said, I think the ref makes the fight, right?
Yeah.
What do you think, Carlos? Think the ref makes the fight?
Yeah.
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 I don't think it should be about the ref.
But I mean, as a boxing fan, believe it or not, as a boxing fan, I want to see who's officiating the fight because of controversial stuff.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
I think Robert Bird's daughter was the one in the first Canelo Triple G fight that scored.
Miss Adelaide.
Miss Adelaide Bird
Right.
scored that fight 117 to 114, crazy, and she actually got a lot of heat for that. That's his daughter, right? So also there's a family duo out there in California, Kais Jr. Good family, daughter's an official.
Raul, the senior.
Raul Kais
I've
and
worked
Raul
with him.
Jr. Awesome.
As a matter of
guys,
fact, the
man.
night that I was with Librando Andrade, he was here in town, and he was he was a good mentor
It's
that night.
daughter, son, and father, right?
That's right.
Were you gonna say something, Carlos? What the?
Oh yeah, it's because you were saying that you look who's gonna referee the fight. So by the referee, you think it's gonna be a good fight or a bad fight?
Yeah.
You do? Really?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh wow.
And again,
Really?
Oh wow.
the ref has a lot. This is my boss, right? The boss has a lot to. The boss. The ref has a lot. The ref has a lot to do. Yeah, the boss has a lot to do too, man.
Well, if
We watch the
anything-
fight, but the ref, I think, has a lot to do of the fight. I really do. We really look at who's the ref for this fight. Oh man, here we go, man. It has a lot. For me, it does.
Okay. So depending on the referee, there's gonna be hugging. There's gonna be.
It's gonna determine there's action on action.
Oh,
You
okay,
remember,
okay,
I
right,
see
right,
this,
right,
man.
right.
Hey, stop fighting, or let them fight, or
Correct.
Or there's refs that are very disciplined, and they go to the corner and say, "Hey, let me tell you something. Hey, keep your hands up, or don't do this, or don't do that." I mean, I've even seen refs blow a call. I mean, like, Robert, what about the calls, right? I mean, I've seen refs that they'll take points without giving them a warning.
Well, yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yeah,
Are you supposed to give them a warning before you can do whatever?
I think it's important to sell the call. You have to sell the call. You got to be decisive, and you got to be, you got to stand behind your call. And if you see something going, happening, like say, keep your head up. You make it known, like, hey, keep your head up. You do that 3 times, everyone in the whole world sees you motioning to this guy to keep your head up. Then after that, you give a stern warning, but you give it in front of everybody, time. And then you take the guy and you say, listen, I'm not going to tell you again, keep your head up. But you got to sell the call. And once you sell the call, you're not going to get any arguments from anybody. And you got to be decisive. Once you make that call, you got to do
Yeah,
it.
there's no turning back.
That's right.
One fight that stands out, and I don't want to deviate from the questions, guy, was May 7, 2005, one of my best fights ever. One of them, because I got a few, right? Like the Mickey Ward, Arturo Gatti trilogy. By the way, Arturo Gatti is my favorite fighter of all time. But one of the best fights that I have, that I love and I'll keep watching, was the Diego Chico Corrales versus Jose Luis Castillos.
With Tony Weeks as the referee.
Tony Weeks, and he stops the fight. What in the world? What? He stops the fight because Castillo had his hands down and he was taking a lot of blows to the head. And it was controversial.
I thought that was an awesome fight.
It was one of the best fights, like I said. It was an awesome fight, but it was controversial. Castillo could have had a little bit more in his tank, but as a fan, you want to see him fight. Gladiators out in the arena. Tony Weeks went in there, stops the fight, and it created. I mean, Corrales was spent. Corrales was done. Tony Weeks steps in because of the defenseless fighter. What a fight. It was in Las Vegas, 2005. Good fight, huh?
Oh, it was a beautiful fight.
How do you prepare for a big fight, Robert? What does your day look like before a big fight?
It starts the night before. Starts the day before.
A day before, okay.
Yeah, you just take it easy. You go over your rules. You don't eat anything. You don't call Carlos up for some food.
Right?
Call Carlos for meal
Maybe
prep.
there's going to be meal prep before the fight.
No,
Correct.
I take it easy. Plant-based diet. Just take it easy, relax.
You don't want to have an accident up there, huh? Because you
No.
can say, time out, I got to go to the restroom.
That
Yeah,
might
right.
affect your refereeing too.
Yeah,
Depending
you're
on
right. You got to feel good. So you do it the night before, and then you wake up, and then what happens?
and you just take it easy. If it's in New Mexico, off in Albuquerque or whatever, I wake up, take it easy. Drive out there as early as I can, get to the hotel, take a nap. After I take a nap, I get up and get ready, and then get to the venue early and just relax. You're a little nervous, but but once you get to the pre-fight instructions and once you get past that, then everything else is just automatic.
Wow. So you eat well.
Take it easy.
You take it easy. Do you watch any fights of the fighters?
I'll do some research on them. I won't look too much into them. I kind of like to base their fight on what's happening that night. But if I do know what fight I'm going to be on and stuff, I'll take a glance at their record and see what's going on there. But I won't look at.
So you do some recon missions, right,
a
of the
little
fighters?
bit, a little bit.
Good. So it's just a relaxed day for you.
Yeah.
You don't call Carlos up. Remember that,
No, don't
right?
call.
So
He's missing out.
the safety of the fighter. We've been talking about it, right? The safety of the fighter, of course, is paramount, right?
That's right.
What would make you stop a fight? And what warrants a stoppage in pro and amateur?
In the amateurs, we have a friend called the standing 8 count. And we can have a standing 8 count almost any time we feel that maybe, I need to take a closer look at this guy. He's taking a couple punches. His head snapped back one time. If it's the peewees, we got to be, we got to handle him with kid gloves. No pun intended. But we'll stop it, give him a standing 8 count, look at their eyes, check out their gait, see if they're okay, and then let them continue.
What are you looking in the eyes?
Gloss eyes. Sometimes their expression, if they don't want to be there, you can tell in their expression, but in the eyes, the gloss eyes. Of course, you look for, one eye going this way and the other, or the eyes say a lot, and they also tell us the intent of the boxer. You could tell them. You could tell just by their facial features. If they can't keep their mouth closed, that's a sign of concussion. And you got to be careful with that. You got to watch out for that. Also, you were looking at their gait, their stance. We're looking at a lot of
Amateurs.
Yeah, and that goes for amateurs and pros. We just have to be more careful in the amateurs because these kids they're gonna progress.
Yeah.
And if we let them take too much punishment, obviously they're gonna have a bad experience.
And
not
of
work
course,
for them.
the stoppage is going to be more premature in the amateurs than in the pros, of course. Right?
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, we're not dealing with millions of dollars here, or people that have had
young minds. We're dealing with young minds.
So, what warrants a stoppage?
Well, if they're taking too much punishment, they're not throwing anything back. That's an obvious one. If they are obviously hurt, and they're not protecting themselves, their hands drop, they lose all bodily function or whatever, you see it all. You got to go in there and stop it, but hopefully it's not at a point where it's too late. But the first thing I do is I look and I'm there. I'm there looking at their eyes, at their face. That's the first thing I'm looking at. Looking to see if the glossed eyes, dilated pupils. Okay, he's doing okay.
And I bet you it's tough for you, Robert, because you might be, the fight just started, right? The fight just started, and you see all the people ringside. They paid big bucks for these seats.
Yeah.
They barely cracked open the first beer.
And it's over.
And it's over. And it could be on you.
It's tough, yeah.
Man, so you really got to be focused on who cares of what they paid. You kind of think you tune them out and you look at it because it's been over in 30 seconds at times.
And I think with experience, the more fights that you have, the more assignments you get, and the more situations you get into where a fighter is hurt, the more experienced you become, and so you're able to tell when a fighter can continue. Yeah, he got hurt there, but he can continue. He can still defend himself. He can still carry on.
And that's when you go to the corner and ask him, right? The refs go, hey, I'm going to stop it if you don't keep fighting.
Yeah.
You're allowed to do that, right?
Well, yeah, I'll tell him. What I say is, you need to show me something. You need to show me something.
That's what we hear.
Let them know that you're watching. You're watching, and you're also letting the corner know that, hey, something's wrong here. We need to keep an eye on them.
Are you like fair on both sides, or do you concentrate more on the side that think got hurt, or let me rephrase that. Do you go every round to the corners?
No, I don't want. I don't want to get involved during the rest unless I absolutely have to, because they only get 1 minute.
Gotcha.
I got them for 3 minutes.
Gotcha.
The corners only have them for 1, and so I try to let them do their work. But if something needs to be addressed, I will go over and bring it up.
Oh, okay. In the past, we've heard about fighters being seriously injured. We talk about Adonis Stevens. What can the sanctioning bodies or promoters or officials do to make the sport safer? We've heard about concussions and all that. We've heard a lot of injuries. What do you think? Is it the sanctioning body? Can we make the sport safer, Robert, or it is what it is?
I think we can always make it safer. There's always, room for improvement. In Texas, they've adopted this, and you may have seen these at the fight now. There's a new procedure, a knockdown procedure, where depending on the severity of the knockdown, the referee will count to 8 and then tell them step to the side, and they'll have the boxer take 2 steps to the side and then raise your hands and walk. There's extra additional instructions that we give to the boxers now.
So that's been added?
That's been added.
Because I've only seen step forward, come to me,
pick up your gloves,
and then you just clean the gloves and he's on, right?
Well, now we've added step to the side, because apparently it takes a little more brain coordination to be able to take 2 steps to the side.
Like lateral movements.
Instead of, maintaining your balance and just kind of inching your way forward to the referee, now we're asking you for additional instructions.
And Robert, how do you deal with these guerreros, man? How do you deal with these fighters that want to continue to fight? And, there's so many fighters out there that have heart.
Yeah.
But heart, man, can get you killed. But, man, those fighters are Arturo Gaddis. They have the heart. Another one was Ruslan Provatnikin, or he was ruthless.
He had cinder block.
But he's bleeding his eyes out, and I mean, how do you deal with fighters like that? And they have so much heart, and it probably breaks you apart to stop the fight.
Well, you have to have an appetite to be able to be in a fight like that. Like, these guys, these referees that'll be in there and just, you're like, when's the ref's gonna stop this fight? And I think some of the best referees out there are able to determine when the fighter's hurt and he can't continue, or if he can continue and still has the fight in him.
Wow. Another thing, football has done a lot of things for the concussion protocol. New helmets, new impact helmets. Do you think boxing will ever go to some technology, having like a head guard that has a device on the head guard that will read if the fighter's taking too many blows?
In the pros, I don't think so.
Not in the pros, amateurs.
In the amateurs?
Because they wear the headgear. Now, pros, pros, what we can do is probably get a mouthpiece that has a light in front of it. I think there was something out there that they were testing.
Really?
That if it's green, that's the level of trauma is still good, but if it turns a certain color, that's when the referee takes extra step. And just everything to help you. Imagine in the amateurs having a headgear with some type of device or wiring up device that if the fighter takes enough trauma, you know what I mean? It reads maybe on a laptop to the corners or to another official that's taking care of the fighters. I mean, look, man, the NFL and other sports have actually doctors that take care of their officials, not boxing. And man, boxing, man, is a lot of headshots. Just imagine if we have that type of technology. Maybe a lot of people won't like it because it'll slow up the game. Yeah. But it's all about safety. And if you have a kid in boxing like we do, we want them to be safe, man. Or you have an 8-year-old. How much more head trauma can he take, or how much blows is he going to take to the age 20? You going to say something?
Yeah, don't they have something like that in the Olympics where they have? When they're the punches, they have something where they count the punches. They can probably use something.
They can count the punches, but nothing.
They used to count the punches.
They used to.
Yeah, right. Oh, okay.
But that's only for scoring.
That was for scoring.
But not for concussion protocol or how many blows you take to the head.
Okay.
And then, Tree, you don't know what's going on in a fighter's head physically. They could have already been injured, and then they put on the headgear. You still got an injured fighter.
Yeah, you're right. But something that we can. Educate our amateur. I think the amateur world would be nice if we can educate our fighters or our coaches in the amateur level. Have a class on concussion protocols.
I agree. And for officials.
Or for officials too, to actually sit there, get a class on a Saturday, right? And have a class.
That's right.
Hey, this is a neurosurgeon. This is what we're going to do today. And do a lesson plan and do a class and teach coaches on what to see on their fighters.
They have it in the pros. The referees go through it too.
Yeah, and I don't know why in the amateur we don't. I mean, it's funny how that
The disparity between one another.
yeah, these are kids, man. I mean, we need to save our kids. It's funny, like there's a saying said, it's funny that we have an armed security officer protecting our money, but we don't have an armed security officer protecting our kids in elementary school. That's another topic. Who's your favorite prize fighter, Robert?
Past tense, Finito Lopez.
Finito Lopez. Why?
A total technician. That guy was just a boxer puncher. Nacho Beristain created a beautiful boxer in that guy, man.
Finito
Lopez, undefeated, retired undefeated, beautiful boxer.
Do you have a current fighter that you like right now?
I don't.
Really?
I don't. I gotta remain neutral, man.
Oh, that's what I was like. Sorry about the
You
question.
never know. I'll tell you
That's
what.
a trick
I'll tell you
question.
what. I
I
love watching a good fight. I mean, I got my beers and my tequilas, and I'm sitting there, and I love watching a good fight with good boxing fans.
Yeah.
You never want to see a fight with world-class judges, because the room is so quiet, you can hear an ant fart. And they're the most boring people to watch. And you know, I love Yester Lopez from New Mexico. I mean, but they're focused on something else, you know. And as officials, it ruins you as a fan because you're looking at something different. You know, I mean, but
I think it'll be interesting if people in the room here at the show would agree with me to watch a fight with a pro ref. It would. It'll be interesting because you're actually seeing, and you can go to him and tell him, hey, what did you think? Because everybody, when there's a pro fight, they're professional judges. Well, I scored it 10-9, or but imagine having you there.
Oh man, I gotta tell you,
it'd be really interesting.
And I know exactly what these pro judges go through. You know, you see them at the same seminars at the conventions, and they're in the room, and you got Dwayne Ford, you got Steve Weisfield from New York. You know, you got all these.
Steve Weisfield,
you got these guys sitting in a room, and they're watching footage. And you got the whole room just silently just sitting there scoring the fight, and then they'll call you out on it. Why did you score it this way? Why? I mean, these judges, they are professionals in every sense, and I think that lack of concentration is probably the biggest fault in scoring error, discrepancy.
Wow. Robert, what advice would you give to people who want to get involved in officiating?
Oh, here it goes.
Uh-oh.
It's serious. I honestly believe that if you truly love the sport of boxing, that if you really, really love the sport of boxing, then you have an obligation. You have an obligation to these people, these men, women, and children who sacrifice their time, their blood, their sweat, and their tears to go up in a ring and for 3 minutes or for whatever amount that time is to give all they have and to risk so much. That person who wants to get involved in boxing, they have an obligation to be professionals, to learn your craft, to be the best you can be, because there's no such thing as an amateur judge or an amateur referee. You have to be professional every time you step in that ring, and that goes for everyone around that ring too. Be good at your craft. Continue to learn. We're all works in progress. You know, we're all going to continue to learn something. The minute we stop learning, then, you know, we're worthless. So if you want to get involved in the sport, you got to be the best you can be. You know, like I said before, the proof is in the pudding. Everyone can see the results up in the ring. And we're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. But if you take the time to perfect your craft, to work on your ring mechanics, go to the boxing gym every once in a while, walk around, get comfortable with your style, think about situations in your head, what you're going to do, how you're going to handle it. You know, those are all important things. That's what I do. I try to do my best to always remember that I'm not there for me. I'm there for that boxer, the one that puts on the gloves and that people go pay to see.
Wow, man. I mean, you couldn't have said it better. I mean, and if you want to be an official, there it is. Robert, again, it's been an honor to have you here on the show. What an insight to pro refereeing.
Mr. Tree, I'm honored.
Yeah, man, thanks for coming down to Warriors Edge Boxing. Sorry about the technical difficulties. We're working out a new system here for our podcast because it continues to grow. But what an honor to have you. We'll see you on TV. Again, it was an honor for me and my family to have you here today, and giving us the insight on the refereeing world that we do not know.
You know,
right?
I want to thank you. It also gave me an opportunity to kind of just go back and see where I've been and where I'm at now, and have a retrospect and fall in love with the sport all over again.
And you know what? This is the podcast, what it's for. I want to
you.
highlight people just like yourself that are here local. I want to highlight people like that. I mean, it's not just about the Warriors Edge boxing gym. It's about all the gyms in El Paso, about everybody. So, folks, with that, we want to thank all our guests today. Thanks for listening to us here. Carlos, thanks for having us. Meal preps, don't forget about those meal preps. Robert, again, it was an absolute honor for us to have you here. Folks, tune in for next Thursday. We're going to have you. And just don't forget, we have some big fights coming up tomorrow, Saturday night. From Verona, New York, we have Dimitri Bivol against Joe Smith Jr. for the W8 light heavyweight title. I know Bivol has flirted with the intention of coming down and fighting Canelo Alvarez, and that'll be a good fight. Bivol reminds me of Ruzin Provocaven. It'll be a good fight. If you don't know who Joe Smith Jr. was, he was the one that knocked out Bernard Hopkins out of the ring. So that'll be an interesting fight on the Zone live stream it. You'll also have another title fight on that card. It's going to be Maurice Hooker against Mikhail Lapierre and that'll be an outstanding fight as well. So big fights, and one more, I believe, this weekend we will have Sean Porter, all the way from Carson, California, on Fox Deporte. He will be taking on Yordenis Ugas for Porter's WBC welterweight title. So big fight weekend coming up, folks. Again, tune in, stay sharp, and like I've always said in all my podcasts, whatever you do, put God first. I have been your host, Robert. Carlos, thanks for having us. Have a great evening, folks. We will see you next week, and don't forget to comment on the show. Thank you, folks. Have a great evening. So long.